discussion on the regular agenda. So I'm going to open up public comment, and we did have some people who signed up in advance. Bob Massaro is our first public commenter.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. I'm Bob Massaro from Loveland. I'm one of the volunteers circulating petitions to repeal the 3% sales tax on food for home consumption. From my research, Loveland cannot differentiate sales tax received from food from non-food items. Therefore, the number the city states should come with a disclaimer, and it should state the assumptions used to get to that number. Second, myself and other volunteers have heard from more than one city employee that services will be cut and they may lose their job if this petition passes. This is disturbing on many levels. Either there are rogue managers in the city spreading disinformation, or they're being told this by upper management, which is even worse. Next, we have seen a posting that looks like an official city document stating $9 million will be cut in revenue, and the general fund is at or near break-even point. Where are the financial documents backing up this statement, and who created and published this document? Some points I'd like to make. The December 2022 financial report stated the general fund had a surplus of $26.9 million. According to the county, the average property tax received by the city will increase by 40%, more revenue coming in. I have not seen an estimate of the additional revenue the city will receive from the Amazon area. It should be included in any statements about revenue the city makes. Some members of the City Council agreed to divert 100% of the TIF property tax money from Centerra South to the developer for 25 years. So evidently they believe they do not need that revenue to support the city. The spreading of misinformation must stop. That message should be publicly stated by this council and the city manager. If no action is taken to stop these rumors about cutting services and employees losing their jobs, it will be another reason for the residents of this city to distrust this council. The choice is yours. Stay silent and reinforce distrust, or make a public statement that the rumors are incorrect or inaccurate. And finally, I would like to think the members of this council would be eager to help our residents who are struggling to pay their bills each month get some additional money in their pocket, like $450 a year for a family of 4. So let's see you in favor of helping our residents put food on the table. Thank you.
Thank you. The second speaker, let's see who signed up, is Joy Sanford.
Thank you. My name's Joy Sanford. I live in Ward 2,
okay,
directly across the street from Mahaffey Park. And I understand park noise. I am sometimes annoyed by it, but it is not constant. It is the sound of people gathering, having fun, and I can appreciate that. I started playing pickleball in January of 2020 at Centennial Park. Once Osborne Park opened up, I began driving all the way across town to Osborne to play there for many reasons. One, the courts are shaded some of the time when we first start in the morning. The courts are fenced separately, which decreases the interference from errant balls. There are barriers around the outside perimeter, which do help decrease wind and noise. The waiting area is well shaded as well, which makes the wait time more tolerable. There are 6 courts as opposed to 4 courts elsewhere, and a bathroom is conveniently located nearby. Osborne Courts are the newest and nicest by far. The people who play at Osborne are various ages, friendly, welcoming, courteous, and fun. It would be a shame to lose those courts that provide so much enjoyment for so many people. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right. If we could hold down clapping, I know it's kind of fun. No clapping, no booing, please. All right, thank you. Our third person is Don. Well, your point of order was the noise,
My
correct?
point of order is your inability to keep track of your meeting.
Well, there are plenty of times when you support the clapping, when they're clapping for something you support, you don't have a problem. Okay, all right. So we'll make sure that it doesn't happen at any time. Thank you. So if you would please hold down the jubilation or the upset. Our third person is Don Reinholz.
Thank you, Mayor. You have my address. I don't know what ward it is.
We don't need to know the word.
Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America and is already played in 72 different countries. It is easy to learn, and a starter paddle for $50 or less will work just fine. From 2022 to 2023, there has been a 38% increase in the number of registered players. The number of pickleball courts has seen a 45% increase in the United States. Many players are transitioning from tennis to pickleball as a testament to its growing popularity. It is important to note that the opposite of this is not happening. Players from surrounding cities have told me they feel very welcome at Osborne by our local pickleball community. What better advertisement for our Parks and Rec department? It is also very likely that while visiting our city, they might also spend some of their money at our local businesses. Some of the benefits derived from playing pickleball are weight loss, improved cardiovascular capacity, greater self-esteem, and improved outlook because of its social nature. Scott Ryder, an All-American runner from Ohio State, found out at age 47 that he had Parkinson's disease. He is now 63 and enjoying improved motor function from playing in a local pickleball league. Pickleball can also improve your memory. How? Have you ever tried to keep score and also whose turn it is to serve? We have been told there is no money to replace nets held together with zip ties and fix cracks in the court surface. Concrete caulk is not that expensive. Where will the money come from to convert these courts back to tennis? They were converted 2 years ago at a supposed cost of $276,000. We were also told by someone from the city that only 6 people were privy to any information about converting Osborne back to tennis and that it was already a done deal. That kind of thinking doesn't seem to be a very good return on our tax dollars. We were also told by someone from the city that a sound barrier installed on the west side of the courts would prevent the police from being able to drive by and look into the courts. This sounds like an excuse, as I find it hard to believe that every park in Loveland has a clear view from the street. We simply want the city of Loveland, including the Parks and Rec Department, to consider the rights of the several thousand people in Loveland and surrounding cities who are part of the regional pickleball community that use these courts separate from the Loveland Pickleball Club. The Osborne courts have the best design with a walkway in the middle between the courts, ample room between the baseline and the fence. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Moving on, Lori Goebel is next, and I understand you have some people willing to give up their time, so we would do a 10-minute. Dylan? So we need to know the names of the people that are giving up their time.
Susan Truitt.
Yes, City Attorney.
You cannot give up time other than on regular agenda items.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, we'll have to hear from each of you. It's only on regular agenda items. All right. Do you?
Point of clarification.
If you,
Madam Mayor?
yes.
Just from the city attorney, is there a way that we can say up here at the dais, let's do it tonight, and tonight only?
Council members, with a vote of 2/3 of the members or without objection, you can approve.
Without objection, does anybody object to allowing them? Okay, we have an objection, so a motion then? Who made the motion?
I make the motion. I'll second.
All right, second. Any discussion on the motion to allow them to have the 10 minutes?
Would you be willing, Councilor Olson, to share the reason for your objection?
I would rather hear from all the individuals instead of one individual. I would rather hear from all the individuals that desire to speak, since we all have 1 hour and we got a lot of people, than have one person dominate the meeting with 10-minute speech.
Okay. Mayor, would it be appropriate to ask the speaker if the other speakers are prepared to speak, because they may not have been?
Well, I think the motion is up here with us, and some people aren't comfortable publicly speaking. So I assume, for myself, I would assume that's the case.
Yeah.
Any
Right.
other discussion on the motion? Roll call on the motion to allow Lori Goebel to have her 10 minutes representing 4 additional people.
Olson,
No.
Ball?
Yes.
Foley?
Yes.
Sampson?
Yes.
Overcash?
Yeah.
Fogel?
Yes.
McFall?
Yes.
Marsh?
Yes,
Malo?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, the vote is 8-1.
the motion passes. Lori, you have your 10 minutes. We do need to have the names of everybody so if we could stand up and tell us your names, the 4 people that are giving up their time. Susan? Okay. Ted. Thank you. All right. Go ahead, Lori.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and councilors, as well as city staff. I live in Ward 3. My name is Laura Goebel. Live in Ward 3, 1 block directly south of the Osborne Pickleball Courts. 2 years ago, I stood here and I thanked you very much for the work that was done in Osborne. It was an unusable court, unusable surface for tennis or pickleball or anything, and it was a miracle that nobody was hurt. It was a $276,000 investment on the city's behalf, and I truly thank the city for that, making that investment in our community. My neighbor Barb, who lives 2 homes closer to Osborne, asked me on June 27th if I'd heard the rumors that the city was going to close the pickleball courts. Not being able to clarify or get answers, I decided to send an email. And I want to thank Councilor Fogel for answering me very directly in that email and very quickly. The original email on the June 28th, I questioned if those ugly rumors were true. I received back a letter from Kara Kish, the Parks and Rec director, as well as a flyer, which I have a copy of here. We were blindsided, to say the least. The lack of transparency and this news coming literally out of nowhere. The flyer is filled with misinformation, as you can see by the orange highlights on here. The inaccuracy of the court relocation, it's not relocating. The decision was made without any input, no notification to Osborne pickleball players, and no outreach to those who live nearby. As I said, I live 1 block from the courts. I hadn't heard anything about it. On Thursday, June 29th, Mark Pugh met with Dan Willardson from Parks Manager. We asked questions. How many people were filing complaints? We couldn't get an answer. To me, no name equals no complaint, because he said some of the complaints come in without any names. We don't want to know who it is. We just want to know how many people are actually complaining. What exactly are the complaints? Is it the noise? Is it the ball? We were told, no, it was the social noise of too many people enjoying and having fun at the park. Imagine that, people using a public park, gathering, laughing, and having fun and having a great time, and somehow that becomes a nuisance. I did take a pause and I asked everybody, I said, just a moment. I said, do you notice how we're not having to yell over each other, to hear each other over this loud noise? Because there were 6 courts in play with many people waiting at that time. What do they want done, we asked, the people who are making the complaints. What was the compromise? And we were told that there was no compromise to be had, that they simply wanted the pickleball courts gone. My question is on the noise. We already had, before Osborne was put in, there were 4 courts at Mahaffey, which, if Parks and Rec had done their due diligence and gone out there with a decibel reader, they would have known how much noise it would have created and translated it, hey, does this work within a residential area? There were some people who reached out prior to these courts being built that said, please put them somewhere else. We believe that this may create too much noise in a residential area. But to the pickleball community, we were told that it was either Osborne, because the lights were there were already existing tennis courts there, so it was either transform those 2 tennis courts into pickleball courts, or it was nothing. That was a choice. Well, we're going to take pickleball courts, right? They were trying to save money to reuse the lights that were already in place, and I get that. I understand that. The positive of the pickleball courts at Osborne, court access, the walkway, some of these Joy expressed very well. Court play can go uninterrupted, fences to keep the balls, errant balls out of other courts, protection from the wind. We definitely do not have that at Mahaffey. Shade. If you look around here in the audience tonight, we're not a bunch of 21-year-olds. And that shade is a nice respite when you're taking a break. We were told that there were going to be lights for night play. That doesn't happen. I'll get more into that later. There's access for handicapped players, even a wheelchair player, Kirsty. She can't do that at Centennial, has a very hard time at the other courts. And let's not forget the $276,000 investment. Meanwhile, Parks and Rec saying that repairs cannot be made to other courts here in town. Challenges at the other courts, play is interrupted for the switching of courts because you have to stop play in order to walk through and have somebody else start a new game. Errant balls cause play to stop. No handicap access. Crime at Mahaffey. Vehicles even being broken into during a tournament. The lights aren't being used at Osborne anyway because we had already made concessions. Park hours generally are 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. The lights were there so that play could be early in the morning or even later at night. That's what we were told at the beginning. Because of the noise, a concession was made for the court hours to be from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., which I believe everyone in this room has been adhering to very, very well. We here tonight, we are asking for a dialogue. No one wants to see these premium courts go away. These courts are the crown jewel of pickleball here in Loveland. We are asking for answers to our questions, and we are asking for transparency. And I thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Lori.
Madam Mayor, excuse me. And the reason that I was speaking on behalf of many of the people here is that, one, several of them did not want to make public comment, were a little bit shy, and every one of them would probably say about the same thing. And out of respect for your time this evening, this is why we chose to do it this way.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Lori. Deputy or Acting City Manager Rod Winsing, I think they're asking for a time to meet with probably you and Kara and Dan.
So thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate the comments from our pickleball community and the situation that has evolved over the last few weeks. I know that Kara Kish, the department director, has reached out to the group already and said, we're in status quo mode right now. We realize that we need to have more dialogue. We need to reach out, have a conversation about pickleball as a whole in the community. So I know Kara and her team at Parks and Rec are committed to that. And so I know that they'll be working with their boards and commissions and reaching out to you to have that dialogue that you're requesting.
Do you have clarifying questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know who was first between yourself and Councilor
I don't
Fogel?
care who goes first.
Okay.
Age before beauty.
Okay, Councilor McFall.
Oh, you turn the same age next month, so shut up. So, Lori, just a clarification. You mentioned that nobody reached out to the pickleball players or community. Is there a list to reach out to?
I receive regular emails from the Parks and Rec Department. I receive the flyers. I receive the information about the 4th of July. I receive everything else. I did not receive anything regarding this whatsoever. It was not given out as information to anybody that I am aware of.
Again, a clarifying question.
Yes.
Do you receive
Yes.
the information because you're a pickleball player, or do you receive it because you're on the Parks and Less? I just guess I'm asking because I'm trying to, if there's a way of reaching out to the pickleball community, I think it should be provided to the Parks and Rec Department so they've got the ability to go out there and reach out and really get to them for the question.
I think it would Thank you for that question, Councilor McFall. If somebody would have showed up at the courts at 8 a.m., I think they would have gotten, a good percentage, and news travels like wildfire, and like I said, I was just trying to get answers, and that's why I sent the email I did. Councilor McFall, you were not on the list because I was I apologize. I did send it to Madam Mayor. I sent it to Councilor Mallow, because they are both the Parks and Rec liaison, to my two city councilors, Councilor Olson, Councilor Fogel, to our city manager, to the Parks and Rec Department director, et cetera. People who would, I was hoping to be able to get answers and clarification from.
All right, thank you. Councilor Fogel, question, clarifying
Yeah, I've
question.
got a couple of questions. First one's for our attorney, Moses.
City attorney.
Does the city have a current noise ordinance?
It does.
Okay. And the next for Rod, our city manager. Rod, has any studies been done on this to see if any laws are being violated here?
I'm not sure at this particular point, but let me reiterate again. I think, I know the Parks and Recreation Department has heard you. That's why we're at status quo, more conversations about this particular issue. With Osborne Park, as you said, we have feedback from neighbors that are concerned about the pickleball courts, and we have neighbors in the same neighborhood that thoroughly enjoy the pickleball courts. So there obviously needs to be more public dialogue about this, more outreach, those and so let me reiterate again, staff is committed to have that conversation before anything changes. So we're at status quo.
All right, thank you. Councilor Sampson?
I'll just provide one quick example, okay?
It's clarifying questions.
I understand, okay?
Questions.
I'll make it a question, okay? If I can have a rock and roll band in my backyard with 300 people up till 10:30 and not break any noise ordinances, why are we even considering this?
All right. Councilor Sampson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to clarify with our acting city manager. So you're saying, just to be totally clear, so that Lori and all of our pickleball players, but you make it, by the way, sound really, really fun. It's clearly like a party on a tennis court. I think people need to start it. Well, maybe no one else needs to attend.
Clarifying
Pickleball.
questions.
Yeah, I'm getting there. So my question for you actually is, if you're saying status quo, then these flyers and the concern that clearly has been shared, the emails we've received, even though I wasn't on, we weren't included on your story, we've received quite a few emails about this. Everyone can rest, sleep easy tonight knowing that there is not going to be anything changed until the community has been notified of a meeting, and then the meeting will take place, right? There won't be any changes until then. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
All right.
Status quo.
All right. Thank you, Lori, and our other pickleball players for being here and expressing your concerns and your enjoyment of the sport. I appreciate it. We have the next public comment is from Darren Barrett.
I wish I had 10 minutes. Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members, lifelong resident Darren Barrett here. I've come to tell you about my friend and neighbor, Tom Buchanan. But first, I hope you all had a wonderful Independence Day holiday. As you may know, this whole thing called America started out some 274 years ago when the British taxed our tea, and a small group of concerned citizens dressed as Indians got together and poured the tea in Loveland Lake. Actually, it's Boston Harbor. I just wanted to see if you were paying attention. So that leads me to Tom Buchanan. If you knew Tom Buchanan, you should already have a smile on your face. If you didn't, you missed a local legend. Tom Buchanan was a true patriot. He was a military veteran who had lost his leg. Handicapped? No way. He was the most capable person I knew. And he had this magical way of bringing everybody together, especially people that maybe didn't see eye to eye on certain items, and bring them together for a cause. Because he knew we were all Americans, we all say pledge allegiance to the same flag. Before Tom died of cancer in 2016, one of the things he was working on was to eliminate the 3% food tax that we have here in Loveland. He approached council about it, and there was some discussion, and some were in favor, and some weren't sure, and some said it needed to be evaluated and studied, and just couldn't get anywhere. So out of discouragement, he started a petition drive. I clearly remember coming out of my house after Tom gave me a call and got out to his car, and we did a reverse drive-through. He handed me the petition through the window of his car. I used his hood as a desk and signed the petition. But like Tom said, we didn't have enough runway to get it off the ground. Just didn't have enough time to get it going. I thought about that a lot this Memorial Day as people gathered with the American flags on the bridge that was named after Tom by a local senator. And I thought, now's the time. Now's the time to get rid of the food sales tax here in Loveland. It should have went away 30 years ago. So this time, instead of bothering you, we went ahead and just started a citizens petition. We know you're busy and got many things on your mind. So if you haven't heard already, yeah, it's game on with this petition. We've gained a lot of public support. These are your constituents who want to see this happen. And I think we're going to make it fly this time. We've got a jet engine on the left wing, a jet engine on the right wing, and we're heading down the runway already. So all we ask is that you don't put any potholes in our runway or try to shoot us down. Just let the voters of Loveland decide what they want to do. Because it doesn't matter, red, white, or blue, we're all Americans, we all have to eat, and we all pay taxes. So next time we'll maybe look at the numbers a little bit, do some math, and we'll separate the wheat from the chaff. Until then, thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren.
I have a question
Do you
for
have a
Darren.
clarifying question?
Yes.
Councilor Vogel?
Darren, back when Tom ran his last petition, and God rest his soul, I enjoyed him too. When he ran his last petition, he did come to council. He did do some studying. He talked to the different councils. He had 3 or 4 councilors that were actually helping him circulate petitions. But there's one major difference. That petition was done in a staged manner over a period of a few years.
Councilor Vogel, it's
Am I correct in that?
I don't recall, but could be.
Yeah.
So I think that was a proposal you had, was to slowly decrease the sales tax.
Yeah,
That was
and
something you supported.
that's the petition that I remember circulating.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
He was.
He will be missed.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilor Sampson, you have a clarifying
I
question.
do, if it's all right, Darren. Would you don't have to stay. I don't have to ask my question.
That's all right. It's my
Okay.
sister's birthday, and I got to be home for cake and ice cream.
Shoot. Okay, well, tell her happy birthday from us. I just wanted to know, because the group that is circulating the petition didn't come before council, like you said, happened with Mr. Buchanan, and that's often what happens, but it's okay, you can do it without it. But I don't know if you were aware, or maybe if the people that you're working with the petition are aware, and I was wondering if you have worked with our city staff, because we do have, I did a rule of 4, we got a rule of 4 for a commission to look at the food tax, and also for personal hygiene tax as well. So that is being discussed in the city, but you're right, it is a little slow going. I don't know if you've spoken with any of the staff about that, or if you know anyone with the petition who has.
We haven't in that particular. It's just, it was a matter of time. We had to get this thing going.
Right,
So,
I understand that.
You know,
Yeah.
we do have a limited time to get them under signatures, so we just had to, sorry, we couldn't wait for you guys. We had to get going.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate
you.
your comment.
Okay, one additional clarifying
Now, I
question.
have to turn this into a question. Keep that in
Yes, you
mind.
do. Yes,
Can
yes.
can you tell your sister Kathy happy birthday for me?
I can do that for you, Councilor.
Thank you, sir.
You have a good evening.
Thank you, Darren. Our next commenter who signed up in advance is Olivia Lowe.
Olivia Lowe, Ward 2. Thanks for the comment about the rule of 4, but we all know where those end up. You guys have rules of 4 up the wazoo, and they never get looked at. this pertains to the food tax as well. Property taxes have gone way up. Utilities have gone up. Rent continues to go up, even for people in affordable housing. The repeal of the food tax will ease some of that pain. But someone from the city and a couple of councilors are telling city staff, including library employees, that without that tax from food, they could lose their jobs. And the Youth Advisory Committee was told they will have to sell cookies, paraphrasing here, to pay for their trip to D.C. You don't get much lower than that. The upshot is this city has their priorities in the absolute wrong place. The city's number one priority right now is to cater to a wealthy developer. You committed millions in taxpayer dollars to Centerra South, while at the same time telling residents, we don't care about your rent. We don't care about your high property taxes. We don't care about your low-wage job. We don't care about your fixed income. We don't care about your utilities going up, et cetera, et cetera. But we are giving you a wicked expensive grocery store out in Centerra South, so cheer up. They don't call Whole Foods whole paycheck for nothing. Food costs have gone way up. People are buying what they can afford rather than what they might need, sacrificing healthy food for cheaper processed food. This council needs to get their priorities straight. Food, shelter, safety. There's no room for wealthy developers in there. Get your priorities straight, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have a clarifying question?
Yeah. Olivia, could you please provide, if you could, names? You mentioned some. Could you be specific on that?
I know that Steve Olson told the Youth Advisory Board that they would probably have to do some fundraising if they want to take their $15,000 trip to D.C. when the city is currently operating at a surplus.
You know incorrectly. I did not say that.
Okay, so
Excuse me.
clarifying question.
I have about 5 people that will say the opposite. They heard and saw you say that. So
Clarifying
that's okay. I'm going to go to their meeting and we'll find out.
Any others? I'd be interested in knowing.
I don't have the names, but I think you do. I think you have all the names of the people that are spreading these rumors around. So
No, please don't make that assumption. I don't. That's
Okay,
what
we're
I'm
not,
asking.
I'm not assuming,
we're
you're
not
just-
arguing with our commenters.
you're just more well connected when it comes
Clarifying
to that, Don, than I am.
question.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Is there, did you, Councilor
I had a
McFall,
point of
did
order,
you?
but
Oh,
it's
okay.
ended, so I will.
Okay, all
I
right.
will
All right, that takes care of the people that signed up in advance. Is there anyone else in chambers that wishes to give public comment tonight?
I got 3 minutes.
Yes, you do.
Thank you. Kat McManus, Ward 2. I am here on behalf to bring light of a possible loophole that we have with our liaisons sitting on our advisory boards. For example, I attended the Youth Advisory Board that was attended this last month. Steve Olson, you are the liaison for that youth committee. You mentioned to our youth of what some topics that you wanted to share with them. You shared a conference that you attended that shared benefits of the community connecting and getting the city council more information on things that you enjoyed. You also shared with them about 2 petitions that were going around town. You shared the URA, and you also shared that there was a new food tax that was going to cost the city $9 million, and the Youth Advisory might want to start thinking about fundraising if they want to do their Washington trip. Now, I asked at that meeting, walking to both you and Joanna after the paused moment, and asked were all these meetings recorded or were there meeting minutes? She sent me the meeting minutes. Joanna says, Councilor Steve Olson attended the City Council Municipal League to assist with taking advantage of grants in government. They address issues of intel learning of different topics in the city, levels of new ideas. There are also ballot measures to remove sales tax on groceries that will have the impact of $9.5 million to the city. Another measure of removing the ability of the councils to utilize Urban Renewal Authority that would impact developments. Now, these are the words that were put in our minutes. Something that I would like to share is there is a loophole here. There's something we are missing. We need to hold our liaisons accountable for the words that they are speaking to our boards. I went through the charter. There is nothing that holds anyone to a guideline or a handbook of how you are to speak at your boards as liaisons. This is something that needs to be fixed to gain the trust of your community members and to have accountability for the things that you are doing on these boards. That was something that I felt was very out of line personally, but you are also telling our youth misformed information. Please take a look at what you are doing when you are going on these boards and speaking to these boards. Any questions?
Yes.
Please, Steve Olson.
What was misinformed? There is a $9.5 million
Yes.
impact.
Yes.
There is a ballot measure to remove the URA.
Yes.
Okay. What's misinformation about that? There was a discussion on fundraising that was entirely different.
Was
and
not.
Occurred before.
I was there the meeting.
Well,
We were both there.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say, the misinformation that you shared is that a team may have to fundraise if they want their trip to Washington.
did not say that.
You did, sir. I was there, and I was with 2 other witnesses.
Point of order,
Okay,
Madam Mayor.
all right.
That's all I have to say. Any other questions?
Questions? So, Councilor McFall.
It's not an argument or discussion. it's
Yeah,
public
that's a
comment.
clarifying question.
Thank you
only.
all for your time. I really just would love if we could take a look at our liaisons and hold them more accountable for the things they're saying to our public. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. All right, is there additional public comment from anybody inside chambers?
Steve Lynn, different topic, homelessness. It appears, from what I can tell, that homelessness became a topic for City Council in 2016. The University of Denver provided a strategic plan to the council, and I guess, McFall, you have read that? Because my wife has, and she has actually worked on that plan, and we have a copy of that plan at home. So I guess you have read that, correct? Strategic plan on homelessness for the city of Loveland. I get a blank stare. But anyway, Olson, you talked about toxic charity. You know, I get the idea that this own homelessness is over your head. I really get that idea. I think you guys ought to contract this out. I think it's over everybody's head here. It's over city staff. It's over everybody's head. And I think, Steve, that's what you were saying in your memo. That's what you were saying. Now, let's go back to a second point and what, Fogel, you were doing a couple weeks ago in your little pictorial parade of people, okay? You know, you were showing people as they were, you know, in the city. And you also had pictures, I guess, from someone else. And you kept showing these pictures, like these were pictures of that you took at a zoo. These are people. These are people who are looking for a place to stay. These are people who don't know where their next meal is coming from. They're people. And you are so damn mean. They're people. And you know the rest of you, not a one of you stood up and said, enough, Fogel, enough. These are people. They are people who live in our city. They deserve respect. Not a one of you. And you know what, McFall? There was a veteran in there. There was a veteran, and you didn't give a damn.
Okay, and please, let's not use the four-letter words on
Oh, bullshit.
freedom of
You know,
speech.
it was a veteran.
Freedom of speech, but
Madam
no
Mayor, point of order.
swearing. No swearing,
Goddamn,
please.
It was a veteran.
I got
All
a
right,
clarifying question.
All right, is there any additional public comment from
got a
inside
clarifying
chamber?
question.
He's left.
Oh, he left.
Madam
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
since I was mentioned, I'd like the opportunity to respond.
No, that's
Really?
clarifying questions.
make it a question.
They have, he's left the room, so you don't get to ask
still
a
out in the hall. We
clarifying
can hear.
question. Please go ahead, but give us your name
Hi,
and city
Erin
of
Black,
residence.
Ward 3, and I wish Councilor Olson would come out here. Can I sit back down until he comes back out? Because this is in direct relation to the lie that he just told everyone in chambers today. I was also in attendance at the Youth Advisory Commission meeting that Kat spoke about, and I wrote down verbatim what Councilor Olson said. And he said when it came time for his council report as liaison to that commission, he said, he mentioned the conference he went to.
It's freedom of speech.
And he mentioned that there were 2 tax initiatives that a group was working on, and if the food sales tax went through, that they would likely need to fundraise and might not be able to make their DC trip. Now he's back. And
Start over so he can hear what you have.
sure, no problem. Councilor Olson, I'm up here because I attended the Youth Advisory Commission. You and I had a conversation. In fact, after you made those statements to the youth members, I came up and told you, sir, you crossed the line. That was completely inappropriate and it was biased. You were not speaking for the entire city council, and you probably scared the pants out of those kids, and I think you probably got exactly what you wanted. They went home and told their parents, don't sign the petition because we're not going to be able to go to our DC trip. And then when you mentioned the ballot initiative to ratify URAs, you said that will ultimately stop all big development. I have it written down verbatim, and I'm really good at it. So you sat here and lied to all of us, and we have a trust issue between city council, city leadership, our PD, and our public. This is why. And to your point, Councilor Fogel, when you speak about it needs 3 years' work, how long are you guys telling us that you worked on the Centerra South deal? 4 months. Makes no sense. So you're telling these people just to get something on the ballot for the voters to vote on that they need to spend 2 to 3 years on that. And yet you guys tout that you only spent since January on the Centerra South deal. That is not adding up. That is why there's a trust issue. There's no transparency. And you're lying to our face. And I agree with Kat. I have been attending more board and commission meetings, and the liaison, there needs to be some work.
Thank you, Aaron. Your time is up.
I have a clarifying question.
Do you have a clarifying, and she's indicated she does not wish to answer, and that is her
I have a
option.
question for legal, madam.
Okay, all right. Clarifying question for Moses.
Yes, well, we do have this opportunity. Okay.
City attorney, there's a clarifying question.
Moses and city manager. The lady says that we've been working on Centerra South for 4 years. I know that 4 months, excuse me. Centerra South was added into the program in 2010. That property was added in 2009 or 2010, if I'm not mistaken. But the main thing I'd like to say is how long has to your knowledge, how long has the McQuinney Group been moving towards the Centerra South project and working on it?
Councilmember, we began working really.
Get a little closer to your mic, please.
Okay, hang on. Go ahead, city attorney, please answer.
Councilmember, we began working on the idea of a URA in summer of last year. However, Centera really didn't develop until much, a little later. We had the concept, the idea, what the plan, what the general idea was, but no specifics as to Centera South until later in the year.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. If I can please have the
Madam Mayor,
audience be quiet,
point of order.
please. What is your point of order?
My point of order is that if you can't
I'd like to
control
move
this
for
meeting,
recess.
you need to clear this room and we can recess
I'd like to move
council.
for recess.
We'd
like a recess.
All right, we will, I'll do a motion on that. People that wish to take a recess. I do not. Okay, we have a motion, and do we have a
Second.
second? Roll call.
How long of a recess?
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Roll call.
Ball?
No.
Foley?
No.
Sampson?
No.
Overcash?
How about no to prove the point? Let's get on with our meeting tonight.
Fogel?
Yes, since I seconded your motion.
McFall?
No.
Marsh?
No.
Malo?
No.
Olson?
No.
Madam Mayor, the vote was 1-8.
Thank you. The motion fails. Moving on, is there additional public comment from people in chambers?
If I could just do a point of procedure, though, Madam Mayor, really quickly, is just to encourage the people that are here to remember, I don't care about what they say, but when they're here, that it's not appropriate to yell out or to do any of those types of things.
We have asked them to not.
Okay, I'm just saying it needs to happen.
Well, go ahead. Give us your name and your city of residence.
Are we done up there?
Yes.
Thank you.
You have
George
the
Garfield,
floor.
Loveland, Colorado. I had no intention of speaking tonight, but I do have to make a comment. And it regards trust, misinformation, and things like that. I thought I heard Mr. Olson several minutes ago say that one of the petitions is designed to stop development and put an end to URAs. All I can say is that I'm hoping that if there's any questions, that members of the City Council will take the time to read the petition, because that petition has nothing to do with stopping URAs. The only thing that the petition asks for is that people be given a chance to vote on whether or not they approve it, and it doesn't take any power away from the City Council. The City Council is perfectly entitled to make whatever decisions they have in the past. So if there's anyone on the City Council that wants to imply that this is intended to stop development, all I can say is that you're being misinformed, or you're spreading misinformation. That is not the intent. It's simply to give people a voice. And if you don't want people, your citizens, your constituents, if you don't want them to have a voice, be upfront and say so. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a clarifying question, Councilor Fogel? You have your moment. Okay, all right, thank you. Is there additional comment from people in the chambers?
Good evening. Excuse me. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm Jerry Westbrook of 2724 Lockbuoy Circle, and I'm here to bring you some good news. After listening to this last hour, I think you have some. I'm going to bring you some news that you just cannot resist. What I'm about to tell you about is a project that took 12 years in the making. Back in 2011, I was president of the Loveland Rotary Club. And at that time, I got to thinking, well, I had some other projects too, but I got to thinking, you know what? Loveland does not have a welcome sign. And here we are, the sweetheart city, we are the gateway to the Rocky Mountains. We're the best city in northern Colorado, and we're not welcoming people. So I took it upon myself to think, okay, this is something that all the clubs can do. We came together, we had a meeting, many meetings, and the clubs that are here currently in Loveland, there are 8 clubs, and they are the Loveland Kiwanis Club, Loveland Lions Club, the Downtown Lions Club, the Loveland Optimist Club, the Loveland Rotary Club, the Thompson Valley Rotary Club, the Mountain View Rotary Club, and the Loveland Sertoma Club. When we started it, we also had an Optimist Club, But because of the COVID situation, they got down to 4 members and they lost their charter. So first I came down and visited with Steve Adams, the city manager, and he called in his staff. We talked about this, and then he ended up signing Justine Bruno, the assistant to the city manager. I'm sure you're all familiar with her. She would be my main contact. And then Justine says, we need to bring in somebody from McWhinney's, because all the development on the north side, is pretty well developed. So we had Kim Perry with the McWhinneys came into this, and those 2 ladies provided a wealth of information. And one of the things that they found out when we was looking for a site, we wanted it between I-25 and Denver Avenue, 4 miles in there. That's where we wanted it. The current criteria out there, that there are lots along there, and they're allowed 3 signs, okay? And that's it. Okay, they went up and down. We could not find a sign or a vacant place where we could put a sign. And then finally, I got a call, and this turned the whole thing around. The call was from Justine Bruno, and she says this: I think we found a potential site. I felt so good, I wanted to jump with joy. And guess where the site is? It's on the north side of the highway at the intersection of Eisenhower and Hans Peak. There's a mattress firm there. Right back behind it, there's the trailer park. There's a little 50 or 60 by 60.
Jerry,
Madam
your
Mayor,
3 minutes.
I will vote to extend the gentleman's time.
Second.
Thank you.
Discussion?
Without objection.
It just is a little bit of favoritism here.
That's okay. That's okay. These clubs provide millions.
Well, I appreciate, Jerry, and all that you do for the community, but it does feel a favoritism. So, roll call. How close are you to being done? That's probably a good
I
question.
can wrap it up in the next.
Can you do 10 seconds? Can you wrap it up?
No, I can't do it in 10 seconds.
Okay.
No, I'd like to finish up just by saying we found.
All right, we're going to need to do a motion. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Foley?
Yes.
Sampson?
Yes.
Overcash?
Yes.
Fogel?
Yes.
McFall?
Yes.
Marsh?
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to vote no.
Mallow?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Ball?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, the vote was 8-1.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Okay.
Jerry, go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So anyway, we found this site, and then we had to get somebody to design the sign. Design the sign. And we selected Schlosser Signs to do this because this is a local company. And I like to do business with local companies because the money stays here. They came up with this sign, the design of it. It says, "Welcome to Loveland," and then it had the 4 logos of the service clubs, and then down below it says, "Serving our community." And then down below it says, "Sponsored by the service clubs and McWhinney," because McWhinney's gave us a cash donation as well as the site to put the sign on at no cost. So it just happened that way, and it was meant to happen. And I hope that sign is there for another 136 years. But on the service clubs, I do have one last comment. You probably wonder what service clubs do. We provide a service to the community. And these 8 service clubs, the estimated economic impact that we're providing back to the city of Loveland is over $4 million a year. $4 million a year. Then that includes cash, in-kind contributions, donations, grants, and volunteer time. That's where most of it comes from, is volunteer time. So we are making a difference in the Loveland community, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jerry. Yep. All right. I have lights on, but I don't think they're clarifying questions. Okay. Is there additional comments from inside chambers?
Gary Drive, Loveland. I'm here, didn't plan on talking tonight, but I witnessed such disrespect from councilors to public people speaking tonight. Councilors got up, they left the room, they're not listening. Overcash is not listening to me right now. He's busy playing tic-tac-toe or whatever.
And there were other people, when their time beeped, you sat them down. We got favoritism. Oh, the favorite word. I'm not going to say it, but you allowed that to happen. And I'm very, very disappointed in this council and your disrespect to the people that came to public comment. While they're commenting, you should be sitting there, attention, listening. Andrea, Overcash, you're not paying ball, you're half asleep. You guys have got to be aware and treat your public appropriately. And I'm very, very disappointed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there additional public comment from inside chambers? Sterling, do we have phone-in public comment?
Thank you, Mayor Marsh. Users, if you would like to speak during public comment, please choose the Raise Your Hand feature. You must have your video on during public comment. As the moderator calls on the user's name, please accept the pop-up request on your screen to become a panelist. The meeting will automatically rejoin you as a panelist and you may turn on your video, then begin your public comment. You must be ready to accept the pop-up window request from the moderator when called on. User with the name Jessica Schneider, please accept the request to become a panelist. Jessica Schneider, please turn on your video and begin your public comment.
Hi, can everyone see me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. I wanted to follow up. I wasn't planning to comment tonight either, but I know that Aaron Black spoke in public comment and asked City Attorney Moses Garcia when negotiations around Centerra South started, and he said they started last summer, which would have been in 2022. And I want to say that there is that Moses Garcia and our entire executive leadership team, including Don Overcash, has discussed the Centerra South URA since at least very early in 2021. And I'm working on a longer article about that. And I also don't appreciate being lied to. I don't think any of us do. I appreciate everyone's work. I appreciate honest work. And I hope that you will respect the residents of your community by being honest. Thank you.
Jessica, can I ask you, are you referring to emails that you read between Kim Perry and staff?
I am.
All right, thank you. All right. Thank you, Jessica. Is there additional phone-in public comment? Well, you can't do it because there was so much conversation by council and so many questions, you can't dock the time.
That's not what our ordinance says, Madam Mayor.
So is there any additional phone-in public comment? All right.
Users, thank you, Mayor Marsh. I have no additional raised hands.
All right. Thank you, Sterling. Appreciate it. We are going to close public comment.